The sun hung low over the manicured lawns of Willow Creek, a neighborhood so pristine it could have been plucked from a postcard. For 3 years, I'd navigated its quiet streets as a delivery driver, weaving through cul-de-sacs and past picket fences. My name's Ethan Carter, and I'd seen it all: chatty retirees, hurried moms, and the occasional barking dog. But nothing prepared me for Deborah Langley, the iron-fisted president of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association, a woman whose name sent shivers down the spines of anyone who dared disrupt her shine of suburban perfection. It started innocently enough. I was dropping off a package at 128 Sycamore Lane, the kind of house with a porch swing and a perfectly trimmed hedge. As I scanned the barcode, a figure emerged from across the street, a woman in a pristine navy blazer, her auburn hair pulled into a tight bun that seemed to tug at her patience. Deborah's eyes locked onto me like a predator sizing up prey. "Excuse me," she snapped, her voice sharp enough to slice through the morning calm. "Do you realize commercial vehicles are banned in this neighborhood from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.? It's in the bylaws. Page 7, Section 3. I forced a smile, the kind you perfect after years of defusing entitled customers. "Ma'am, I'm just delivering a package. I'll be gone in 10 minutes. Her lips pursed, as if my words were a personal affront. "10 minutes too long," she hissed. "People like you need to respect our rules." "People like you." The phrase hung in the air, laced with something I couldn't quite pin down. I let it go, chalking it up to a bad day, and drove off, her glare burning into my rear view mirror. But Deborah Langley didn't forget. The next week, I was back in Willow Creek, juggling a stack of packages. As I stepped out of my truck, there she was, standing on her lawn, phone in hand, recording me like I was the star of her personal documentary. "Unauthorized vehicle in the neighborhood," she narrated loudly, her voice carrying to the neighbors peeking through their blinds. "This is what happens when we let standards slip." I kept my head down, dropping off boxes as she trailed me in her golf cart, a shiny white thing that probably cost more than my monthly rent. At every stop, she'd park a few feet away, muttering about property values and "these delivery people" who didn't belong. By the third house, my patience was fraying. I turned to her, keeping my tone even. "Ma'am, I'm just doing my job. If you've got a problem, call my company's customer service." Her face flushed a deep crimson, her eyes narrowing to slits. "Don't you dare tell me what to do in my neighborhood," she spat, her voice rising to a pitch that could have shattered glass. "I've been documenting your violations, and trust me, your days here are numbered." I finished my route with her golf cart humming behind me, her presence a constant weight on my shoulders. Back at the warehouse, I vented to my supervisor, Mike. He sighed, rubbing his temples. "Another HOA tyrant? Just steer clear unless she blocks you." Easier said than done. Deborah became a fixture on my Willow Creek runs, her arms crossed, her scowl a permanent fixture. But it was on a humid Tuesday morning, for weeks later, that everything changed. I just dropped off a package at the Thompsons' house when Deborah's golf cart screeched to a stop, nearly clipping my leg. "I'm done with you people invading our neighborhood," she roared, her voice dripping with venom. What came next stopped me cold, a torrent of racial slurs, each word uglier than the last, spilling from her lips like poison. I froze, my heart pounding, as her words revealed the rot beneath her polished exterior. What she didn't know was that my company, fed up with complaints about harassment, had started equipping drivers with bodycams. The tiny device on my chest was recording every hateful syllable in crisp high definition. I clenched my jaw, forcing myself to stay calm. "Ma'am, I'm doing my job. That language isn't necessary." Her face twisted with rage, and she stepped closer, jabbing a manicured finger toward me. "Don't tell me what's necessary. I'll have you fired by sundown. We don't want your kind here." Before I could respond, she snatched my scanner from my hand and hurled it to the ground. The crack of plastic echoed in the stillness. "Report that!" she screamed, unleashing another barrage of slurs that made my stomach churn. I picked up the shattered scanner, my hands steady despite the storm in my chest, and walked to my truck. Deborah followed, shrieking about calling the police, my boss, and half the town council. I locked the doors, took a deep breath, and called Mike. She broke my scanner, I said, my voice low. Used racial slurs. It's all on the body cam. Mike didn't hesitate. Stay put. I'm sending security and calling the cops. Don't engage. Through the window, I watched Deborah pace, phone to her ear, spinning a tale of how I'd threatened her and refused to leave. Her lies were as bold as her insults. 20 minutes later, 2 police cruisers rolled up. Deborah rushed toward them, pointing at my truck like I was a fugitive. I stayed in the driver's seat until an officer tapped on my window. Step out, sir, he said, his tone neutral. I complied, hands vy side, a reflex honed by years of caution. Officer, I have bodycam footage of the entire incident, I said. She used racial slurs, broke my scanner, and has been harassing me for weeks. The officer's eyebrows shot up. Bodycam? Deborah, overhearing, scoffed. He's lying. There's no camera. He threatened me when I enforced our rules. The officer raised a hand. Ma'am, step back. I pulled up the footage on my company phone, the app streaming the last few minutes. As Deborah's slurs played, the officer's face hardened. He handed the phone back and conferred with his partner in hushed tones. What happened next was a scene I'll carry forever. The officers approached Deborah, who was still ranting about undesirables, to a growing crowd of neighbors. Ma'am, hands behind your back, one said firmly. Deborah froze, her smugness evaporating. What? I'm the VY Tim. I called you. The officer's voice was steady. You're under arrest for assault, destruction of property, and possible hate crime charges based on your language. Deborah's jaw dropped. Do you know who I am? I'm the Willow Creek HOA president. Doesn't give you the right to assault anyone or use those words, the officer replied, unmoved. As they cuffed her, Deborah's facade cracked. Tears streamed down her face as she pleaded. This is a misunderstanding. I was protecting our neighborhood. But the cuffs clicked shut, and the neighbors watched, stunned, as their HOA queen was led to the cruiser. The case moved fast. The bodycam footage was damning, Leah vying no room for debate. Deborah faced charges of assault, property destruction, and hate crime enhancements for her targeted slurs. 3 months later, I sat in a courtroom, watching her face as the judge delivered the verdict: 6 months in jail, suspended for 2 years of probation, a due law $5,000 fine, mandatory diversity training, and 200 hours of community service with minority-focused groups. But the real blow came from Willow Creek. The HOA board, after reviewing the footage, voted unanimously to oust her as president. As the judge read this final detail, Deborah's composure shattered. You can't do this, she shrieked, her voice echoing off the courtroom walls. That neighborhood is mine. Her attorney's frantic shushing did nothing to stop her meltdown. The gavel fell, and Deborah Langley's reign ended not with a whimper, but with a scream that laid bare her entitlement. Willow Creek was never the same. Whispers followed every HOA meeting, and the story of the delivery driver who brought down their tyrant spread like wildfire. For me, it was a reminder: sometimes the smallest lens can expose the ugliest truths.